Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and I want to talk about thinking about dungeon performers, and that is anyone who plays a Dungeons & Dragons player character at a physical table after writing a physical character sheet, pen on paper, okay? And how those dungeon performers are the new writer for the new world. All right, let's get into this. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but novels are dying. They are really have reached a point of near uselessness. So why do I say that? Well, first of all, there's only one bookstore chain in America left. We used to have two. It was Borders and Barnes and Noble. Now there's one. There's Barnes and Noble. Oh, BAM, Books A Million. Yeah. Oh, what about BAM, Scott? Yeah, you're right. There's a few bookstores that you could find in malls, right? Which are all dying. So your idea for the second chain is a bunch of stores that are literally in a thing that is dying in America. There are virtually no malls left, right? So BAM is around and it's clinging to the corpse of American malls. So there's one, all right? And the reality is very few people read anything anymore, right? In fact, I think really most Americans are kind of veering toward iconography, right? Like getting their information through icons, right? Both literal and figurative. All right. So the American author, there's never going to be another Moby Dick. Books don't matter anymore, right? Books matter. D&D canon hardback, of course, matters, right? But the novelist is nothing in America, right? And I can tell you this because I am a novelist. I can tell you I've written 2 books, right? And I can tell you right now, I get 100 times, 1,000 times more traffic off of, I literally get 1,000 times more traffic off of a 3-minute video than I can off of a 300-page book, right? Because I've done them both. I've done 3-minute videos that have thousands of views, and I have 2 300-page books that don't have 1,000 readers among them, right? So like I can tell you right now, the author is dead. And you're like, oh no, Scott, there's some authors who really write and said, hey, conceal your flapping maw. Let's talk about J.K. Rowling. Where's the next one? Who's the current J.K. Rowling? Oh, I hear silence. Authors are dead, right? Like novel authors are dead, right? Mackenzie DeArmas, right? She's a D&D, she is far better than the person who won Book of the Year from the New York Times for a novel, which I can't even tell you their name, right? Like nobody cares about novels today, right? But there is writing happening that matters, right? So who are the new writers and what are they writing, right? Well, guess what? Gary Gygax, man, his legacy is, so in 1974, okay, Gary Gygax created Dungeons & Dragons, okay? You know what it was? It was a seed in his hands. In 1974, it was a seed in his hands. And you know what happened with that seed? He carried that seed from 1974 to 1986. And in 1986, he gave it to Lorraine Williams, and she carried it from 1986 to 1997. From 1997 to 1999, Richard Atkinson carried it. After that, it was picked up by Ryan Dancey, okay? And after Ryan Dancey, it was picked up by Robert Hainsou. And after Robert Hainsou, that seed, Robert Hainsou had it, okay, in 2008, okay? That was the beginning of D&D 4th edition, okay? Who took that seed? Robert Hainsou, right, was holding it. Robert Hainsou, right, that seed was given by Robert Hainsou back to Gary Gygax. And in 2008, Gary Gygax died, okay? And when he died, that seed was planted in the ground. And those roots of Dungeons & Dragons have reached down through Funko have reached down through Yahtzee, have reached down through Fortnite, have reached down through Magic the Gathering, have reached down through the DC, through DC Comics, through Marvel Comics, through Star Wars. The expansion of Dungeons and Dragons intellectual property has been farther and more ranged than any intellectual property ever in the history of humanity, right? Absolutely incredible, right? And the legacy of Dungeons and Dragons today is the character sheet, right? So you as a dungeon performer, you come forward, right? And you sign the most powerful contract that has ever been done by any secular source. Okay, let me explain what it is. People have understood for a while that when you sit down to play Dungeons and Dragons, you are signing a social contract. They did not understand the structure. The dungeon performer fills out, grabs a single piece of paper, right? They fill out the name of that character, they fill out their player name, they fill out the attributes, the abilities, the feats, the spells, the equipment. That is a social contract, okay? With every other dungeon performer at the table, with Gary Gygax himself, with every single person who's ever designed Dungeons and Dragons, with every single and with the dungeon master and every single dungeon performer at the table. Everything I just told you, none of that is new. Here's what's new. It is a social contract with yourself. You are saying, I am birthing this new identity. This new identity lives in this real world, in this physical piece of paper, okay? And this character, this identity, lives in this Dungeons and Dragons realm. Oh, wait, Scott. No, what if I made it in my own realm, not a Dungeons and Dragons realm? That realm is a Dungeons and Dragons realm. You just don't know it because you're ignorant of James Wyatt's words and fizz bands. Every single world created for Dungeons and Dragons, right, by a dungeon master with players who sign a social contract with their dungeon master, with their dungeon performers, their other dungeon performers, and with themselves, right? And it reaches into the canon of Dungeons and Dragons. That social contract is root bound, exactly like Gary Gygax root bound Dungeons and Dragons into every major intellectual property on the planet. On the planet. Nothing, no intellectual property that matters is not bound to Dungeons and Dragons, right? If you understand Dungeons and Dragons canon, you understand that, right? Now, the reality is you might not understand that. That's okay. I got 6,000 videos, right? And I think several hundred of them go into this topic. It's extremely deep, right? So, but you have no idea how far D&D IP actually goes. Like, it is, there's nothing like it on the planet. It truly is unprecedented. There's literally there's no product in the world that has spread farther than Dungeons and Dragons as far as the intellectual property itself. Its canon is incredibly connected, right? Like nothing like it on the planet. But when you as a dungeon performer sign that social contract, yes, you are signing it with the dungeon master. Yes, you are signing it with those dungeon performers. You'll find 1,000 videos right here on YouTube talking to you about that and the importance of it. The most important part is it is a social contract with yourself. You are promising to bring that identity alive on this earth, this physical earth. You will not remain unchanged. As you delve into that identity, part of you will change. You will never be the same, and the people you meet will never be the same because you play Dungeons and Dragons and because you ventured into Manifold Sentience. And the people who encounter you on this earth will meet a Manifold Sentient. Many of them don't even understand what that is, right? Will never understand what that is, but that doesn't change the fact that you will change them. How do I know that? Because Joe Manganiello said it in a D&D Direct, right? Literally said that people were using Dungeons and Dragons to change the society they live in fundamentally, right? To change the cultures they lived in, right? Not just me saying this anymore, right? So, you know, and so you will be changed by that character, and you will change that character level by level, world by world, sword swing by sword swing, cast by cast. You will never be unchanged after you sign that social contract. Most importantly, with yourself and with that identity that will live in 1,000 worlds, right? That is what planeswalkers are for. That is why they use the word multiverse. And that is why they connect Dungeons and Dragons to 1,000 worlds and work every single day to salt Dungeons and Dragons across the most powerful, epic intellectual properties that exist. Sign the social contract. Be unchanged. Be changed. Be changed. Be changed. Excuse me, I think I said unchanged a few times in there. You will change, right? You will change, right? And everyone around you will change because of your manifold sentience. You will not venture into manifold sentience and remain unchanged. You will be changed, right? And it's worth it. And I will say right now, there's incredible risk in this. There's incredible, you're like, risk? Yes, there's risk, right? Dungeons and Dragons came out in 1974. In 1983, people were burning the books, right? They knew there was risk. In 2023, at the beginning of the year, people came and said, even the digital books must be burned. Destroy your entire library. 1983, 2023, man. There is risk here because it is real, and you will not touch Dungeons and Dragons and remain unchanged if you sign the social contract that is a character sheet. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion, nothing more or less. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.